find out if you're ready for love. Here's your marvelous host, Nikki Lee.
Hello, and welcome to Ready for Love Radio. This is your host and love coach, Nikki Lee. Season 9. Okay. I can't believe it's season 9 of Ready for Love Radio. And I am thrilled to be here for season 9. I am thrilled to have listeners back for season 9. And I have got a guest back who was actually with me in season 8. And we talked about her. She has a game for couples that we talked about in season 8. Better Topics Game for Couples. And she has a new game coming out. And we're going to talk about that today. She wanted to come back and share that with you all. And it's called Better Topics, the Dating Game. Now, this isn't a TV show yet. No, Diana, you never know. But right now, I don't think it's a TV show. But she'll tell me. So, Diana, it's great to have you back with me.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me again on your podcast. And congratulations for 9 seasons. That is amazing. That is truly something to aspire for.
Doesn't that blow your mind? Oh, wow. You were actually, I did a music show last week, so you're officially my first guest for season 9. How about that?
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow, unbelievable. I never would have guessed I was going to have a show years ago, and I never would have guessed 9 seasons. Woo! Oh, unbelievable. I'm a little excited about that if you couldn't tell. Oh, and New Visions Radio has been around for 9 seasons now, or 9 years now too. Woo!
Wow.
All right. And on the show page, I'm going to put a link to the show about Better Topics Game for Couples for people that missed that. So don't worry, folks. You can catch up on the show in case you missed it. So it'll all be there in one place. Now let me remind y'all a little bit about Diana before we dive into the new game. She was a manager in the corporate world for the National Health System in the UK. You'll notice she has an accent, y'all. So, not like I have one. And now she is the creator and CEO of Better Topics. She's helped thousands of couples in over 170 countries improve their relationship and communicate more effectively while still having fun playing Better Topics Game for Couples. Now, this is a game that encourages couples to have those much-needed conversations that they may not be having on their own. Or, sometimes we just don't think about the things we need to talk about or should talk about. And with the game, you're having fun, and it's a lot more lighthearted when you're, playing a card game. And the best part about Better Topics is it's a repeatable game. So you can play the game over and over, and all you have to do is shuffle the cards. And the game won the Innovative Gaming Product of the Year for 2021 and 2022. That is not easy to say. At the Central England Prestigious Awards. Congratulations on the award.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That way too many 20s in there. So now I've got a copy of Better Topics for Couples, and I have played card games my entire life. I love playing card games, and the cool things with having cards is all you have to do is shuffle them, and you've always got a unique game. I've played. I cannot even tell you how many tens of thousands of card games I've played in my life. And I've never played the same game twice. I tell you what, let's explain to them, how is the game set up?
I will talk a bit about the Better Topics card game for couples. Mm-hmm. It is quite interestingly set up. It does have a lot of conversation starting questions, but it's quite different from the usual conversation starting games that you see out there, mainly because this truly is a repeatable game, as in, although the questions are the same every time you play the game, the answers will always change. And this is due to the fact of how we actually thought about the game, the questions, and how we set them out. And it also has a lot of game-like elements like cancel the question or reverse the question. And the best part is, I mean, the one that I love most, are the rewards that the winner gets to choose from once the game is done. And the main purpose for that was to actually help couples and give them an exact tool that they can use so that they actually start having important conversations for their relationship, other than what's your favorite ice cream and what's your favorite color, which maybe to some degree it might be important or it might be good to know about your partner, but it's not crucial in a relationship. You know, like, you can live with someone for years and they don't know your favorite color, but they do know like deeper things about you and how to properly connect with you and how to properly support you when you need it and all of these things, because I consider those things to be a lot more important than, you know, the favorite ice cream. I mean, okay, ice cream is important to some degree. Again, I do love ice cream, but still, a good relationship needs actually more important discussions than just the basic, very surface ones. So that was the main aim when we created the Better Topics game for couples.
Well, now, see, the coach in me loves the modifiers. That's where you dig in. That's my favorite. Well, I love the rewards too, of course. But I like the modifiers because then you can dig in and you can get to the meat of it and say, like, you know, why or where or when. And, you know, you get the basic answer, but with the question, but then your modifiers let you kind of get underneath the question, you know, get to the heart of the matter. That's
exactly. Yes, exactly. So the modifiers help, you know, not to dig out necessarily because that seems so harsh, but it helps drive the conversation further instead of just yes, no type of answers, instead of here, there, or yesterday or whatever type of conversations and then done. You're done on that subject. No, you have to actually have a in-depth conversation about the things that you go through in a relationship in order to grow it, basically.
Right. Well, yes and no. And, you know, chocolate and vanilla, you know, that kind of thing, strawberry, that only gets you so far. You know, it's why do you like chocolate ice cream? You know, why do you like cookies and cream? You know, because then, you know, you get like to the backstory, you know, or why do you like chocolate chip cookies? You know, it's because that was the one that my grandmother made, and I remember, you know, times, you know, with her in the kitchen. You know, then you get to the cool stuff. Then you get to the neat stories. Then you get to the, you know, the elements of us. You know, it's not just the surface answers. It's the real heart of the matter. You know, the real stuff that tells us. It tells us the warm, fuzzy stuff about each other. Does that make any sense?
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, you know, building on that, we have now created another game for those who are in the dating phase, because we had so many people request this, and we had so many of our single friends who saw the Better Topics card game for couples, but they weren't in a relationship, so they couldn't really play it. So they kept asking us, like, you know, when are you guys going to do a game for dating? Because, you know, there are so many of us that are still dating, still need help with that. And so that was in a plans. But then something very interesting happened, because, I always have this saying, be careful what you wish for, because that's exactly what you will get. So we weren't sure exactly how we'll structure it, what we'll do with it, and, all of these things. So what happened was that a high school teacher from Denver, Colorado, actually reached out to us because he invented a dating game for his students. So he's been a high school teacher for over 20 years, and he's the type of guy that he's meant to be a teacher, like he has this passion for teaching, which is amazing to see in people. And because he's so passionate about it, and he's so passionate about helping his students, like with real life situations as well, he found that many times his students would confide in him, about issues with their relationship, dating life, and things like these. And he realized quickly that, students, especially teenagers, weren't really listening to him when he would tell them to read a book about it, or he would advise them to read like this article that's very interesting on dating. They wouldn't read it. I mean, they're teenagers, yeah. Their attention span is like nothing. So what he did was he invented this card game for them, which actually the students started loving, and they would even come up to him like in their break, and they would give up their break just to sit with him and go through this game and through the cards, because it would actually help them make better dating decisions and be more aware of a person's characteristics before just deciding whether to go on a date or to be with someone or not. So in his research on how to launch this via a Kickstarter campaign, he found our game as being the only most relevant and basically in the same niche somehow, So he reached out to us, with some advice, if we have any advice for him, because, he has this game and he wasn't really sure how to start and how to actually do a Kickstarter campaign. So we had a very interesting call, and both my husband and I just loved talking to him. And what we loved most was this passion that he had, the passion that you can feel in some people when they do something amazing and they're so excited about it. Like you, for example, you're here 9 seasons in, and every time when I listen to you talking about your podcast, your voice just slightly changes as if you're talking about something very, very dear to you. So, when he started talking about his students and how, the game was helping his students, he just lit up, basically. It was so amazing to see that. And we could feel his passion even, although it was like a Zoom call and we were in the UK and he's like in Denver, in Colorado, like literally the other side of the world. And he was so passionate about it and we could feel it. So we decided to partner up with him because we obviously had the experience, and also we had to go through the game properly and tweak it, to make it more playable and less ambiguous and easier to play, basically. And we've been working on that for the past few months now, and we are going to launch the Kickstarter campaign with the Better Topics, the dating game, in September. So basically, we're super excited to yet again help people with a game, because this, I found, interestingly enough, is a passion of mine that I haven't realized until very few years ago, that I really love to learn through games. And many people do actually love to learn through games, although they don't realize it maybe at first. But, even when I was in my corporate job and we were doing like a lot of management training and stuff, I still remember the courses where we would play something. Like, the reason didn't really matter, like maybe because we, our supervisors had to see how we deal with a team or how we manage a team, or to learn, how to function in a team and all of those things. But all of the courses that actually involve the game, I still remember them to this day. And I remember taking a lot of pictures as well. Like once we had to build this Eiffel Tower out of pasta sticks, And it was so fun, and we were fooling around, but we learned a lot of useful skills as well. And then I realized that, as kids, we learn most through games. Like when we're in kindergarten and nursery, and after that, we learn most that way, and most skills, and most social skills, especially in a group, we learn them through play. But we kind of tend to forget that as we grow up, But if we go back to that just a bit, we realize that learning is actually not so tedious anymore, and it's not so frustrating and tiring. It's actually fun, and you also remember all the things you've learned. So this was my drive behind partnering up with Scott, who's the teacher, to help and develop this game further and make it playable by a vast variety of people, and in literally any age group at the end of it. Because when we started thinking about all the people who could play this game and would have better dating lives, it was just amazing. We were like, oh my God, literally anyone, any age, they can start playing the game, because the game itself has like different variants. It can be played in a single player type, or a 2-player type, or even a group. At a party, they can start playing it with friends, which is amazing. And the end result is that, they have fun, which is really good. We all want to have fun. And they also learn how to make better dating decisions, and how to keep an eye out, especially to the red flags, because at the end of the day, we all have some red flags, or we all have some things that others might consider red flags, but some of them are, let's say, with some of them we can deal with easier than with others, So alongside a lot of good characteristics, you also get some red flags as well, that you have to decide whether is that one red flag canceling all the good ones, or I would just date this guy because that red flag is not as serious, let's say, or not as, this is something I can deal with. So, we are super excited to launch it. I know my friends who are still dating, they're super excited as well, because they can't wait to get their hands on it and start playing.
Well, and you've got lots and lots of potential. I forget, what do y'all call your like expansion packs that you've got that you add on to the...
Yes, those are for the Better Topics card game for couples.
Right.
So for the game for couples, we do have extension decks, various extension decks, yes. But this one will have... Sorry?
Well, I couldn't remember what you called them, but there were going to be lots of potential expansion packs for the dating one I can think of.
Yes.
There's about 20 that just came to mind just while you were talking.
Yes. Well, we do have in the works some expansion deck ideas. We just want to get the main deck out there first, and then working on the extension decks. But once the extension decks are out, and once you add those to the main game, the way you play it slightly shifts, but it's still a lot of fun, and it's still very playable, especially in larger groups.
Yes, no joke. Can I just say, if you're ever looking for a certified love coach to come on board, I'm available. Lots of ideas.
Well, we could, now thinking about it, we could actually partner up, because we have a card game for couples that, if you work with couples, you can have that in your packages as a bonus for them. Or if you work with someone who is in the dating phase, we now have the Better Topics, the dating game, and then they can use that to actually learn in a fun way to make better decisions.
Yeah, I'm just and it wouldn't hurt you all to have a certified love coach, associated with what you're doing. So we'll talk.
Yes, definitely.
But I think I remember too when we were talking initially that I asked if the one for couples could be used by dating people that were dating, and I was looking through and I thought about that when I was flipping through the cards myself when they came in. and there were quite a few that could be, but you'd have to actually go through the entire pack and separate them out, kind of thing. So this is cool.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. So this is why we actually wanted a separate deck for those who are dating, because we felt that some of the questions from the card game for couples were a bit too deep for those who are in the dating phase. That's why we wanted this separate game so they can have those initial decisions, let's say, that you kind of make in a dating phase, whether you want to date someone or not. And then once you are well into the dating with the same person, then you can migrate towards the card game for couples, because that's the point when the discussions can be deeper. But definitely not at the beginning of the dating phase, when people are still deciding whether they are, they match each other, or whether they're even compatible with each other.
Right. Well, and that's your expansion packs too, because there's so many different phases to dating, So, but interesting. So what's your experience with dating? I know you're married now, but What has working on this project brought back to you as far as your time with dating?
Oh my God, a lot of. I would normally say a lot of trauma, but it's not trauma anymore because I kind of worked it through, so it doesn't affect me anymore as it used to.
Good.
So I had many years of dating that, failed basically, because yes, now I am married, but before meeting my now husband, there have been plenty of years of dating and failing at it miserably and being very frustrated by it. Because what I realized recently is that we don't really know anything about dating when we start dating, when we're like maybe teenagers, maybe late teens, maybe early 20s, whenever we start dating. What is it that we actually know about it? Because what I know now about dating and relationships, I know through a lot of books that I read, a lot of courses I went through, a lot of therapists I followed online and, followed their work and their books and everything. So I've educated myself over a few years. So I have the knowledge that I have now. But when I started dating, I had no clue what I was doing. The only things I knew about dating were what I saw around me, which, to be honest, wasn't much. What I saw in movies, which, again, is kind of questionable whether you should take that as advice or not.
Right.
So, or maybe things that other people were telling me from their experience, which at the end of the day, that's their experience. It doesn't mean it has to be mine as well. So, I thought we don't know anything about dating. I still think that dating and relationships should be taught in schools, because this is something that everyone goes through at some point in their life, whether sooner or later, it doesn't really matter. Someone at some point will start dating, or at least go on one date or something like that. So, but they don't know how to even do that properly, or how to even not necessarily assess a partner, but actually understand whether they would be compatible with that person, or whether that person has some very red flags that might just bring misery into the relationship instead of nice things and good feelings and happiness overall. So, if something like this could be taught in schools, or even used by counselors, in like high schools that talk with like teenagers who go through dating phase, and especially in teenage years, I think we take everything to the extreme. We feel like, oh my God, the world is ending just because we might have broken up with someone that we liked and stuff. So I think, because of my past experience with so many bad dates, I mean, I have so many bad date stories that I could literally write a book only on those. And I even thought once, I should actually write a movie script on them, because some of them are just so funny that you cannot even make them up. They're that funny. So, like, I have my shortest date ever. My shortest date ever was something like 5 minutes, maybe less, where I walked up, and I was like I think I was like 26, 27 at that time. And by that time, I got so annoyed with dating in general, and many men, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them, that, you know, if I wouldn't like something from the first 5 minutes, I would literally just walk away. I was like, there's no point to lose an hour of my life with this person. I got to that point where I was like, I either like you or I totally don't, and I'm leaving. And so it was like summertime. I got dressed. You know, I had like this very nice dress and high heels, and I had my hair done, and makeup I don't really wear anyway. And I like walked up, you know, to the meeting point, and I saw this guy coming up with like, I don't know if you know those low crotch sweatpants. I really hate those. Like, those are my literally, when I see those, I would just tear, like, I could rip them off. Like, I don't know. I just hate those sweatpants with like very low crotches. I just don't like them. They're not my style, and I don't think they look good on anyone. Maybe if you're like 15, maybe, but you know, beyond 15, I don't think those are cool anymore. You know, like, so I was seeing this guy who was like 30 at the time, and when I saw him coming up in those type of sweatpants and like a lousy T-shirt, I just looked at him and I was like, I need to go. I cannot do this. The thing was, I wanted to leave before, but it was too late because he saw me. So I had to stay there and at least say hello. I couldn't be that rude, you know. But I told him, like, I'm sorry, I cannot do this. And he was like, why? What's happening? And I said, the simple fact that you wore those type of sweatpants, it shows me that we are not compatible in any way. Like, I put a lot of thought in what I'm going to wear, how I'm going to do my hair, and all of this for today's date, basically. You coming in those sweatpants and just like a lousy T-shirt, it shows me you didn't give a shit, you know, about this date. Yeah. So I'm like, that's enough for me. Like, if you don't care as much as to dress normally, like, I don't say to come in a suit or something, although if you would, there would be some extra points, but at least come like, you know, just casual towards smart, but not sweatpants. Like, we're not going to the gym now, you know, we're going on a date. It's not like, oh, you know, I just threw something on just to see this girl. You know, I was like, no, you clearly don't care as much for this date, so I'm going to leave. I'm not going to waste my time or yours. So I literally just left. That was like 5 minutes. So I have a lot of crazy stories like these. But, you know, until I got to the point where I wasn't upset anymore about these type of situations, it took me years. And that was years of heartache, which people that could play the Better Topics dating game could bypass. You know, they don't have to go through years and years of heartache, of wondering what happened, why didn't they call back, I thought the date went well, you know, all of these things, and or even entering relationships with people that we clearly saw the red flags at the beginning, but we ignored them, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So people playing this game can actually learn to look for the red flags from the very beginning, before they fall in love with the person, before they start having feelings, when they don't really care about the red flags anymore until it's too late. So, you know, people can actually bypass years of bad dating or years of bad relationships even, you know, if they start dating more, let's say more wisely and more informed in a way. So they know exactly what to look for and how to look for it, and then, you know, they can just decide from the first date, yes or no. I mean, maybe not in 5 minutes like I've done in my example, but still, you know, if you sit like through one date, through 1 hour, you might, you actually would be able to realize if this person is compatible with you or not, instead of wasting 3 months of dating or 6 months of dating and then getting to the point where, no, we're not compatible, we're not going to be together, you know. So especially because, you know, we are living in an age of speed right now. Everything we want on high speed. Dating needs to kind of catch up with that as well. We don't have time or the years anymore to date for I don't know, 2-3 years, and then decide, yeah, this is not good. I'm not going to put up with this stuff anymore. So you can actually pinpoint those red flags in the beginning, which is something I really want to help people with, because again, they don't have to waste years the way I've done.
Well, and the thing is too, once a person has wasted 2-3 years of their life, they don't want to start over again. It's like, okay, well, and it's become so familiar that it's their normal, and once something is that ingrained and becomes your normal, it's really hard to convince somebody that it's bad for them, or it's not what is good for them or healthy for them or something that they should be in, or you need to get out of this situation, and I'm huge on pointing out or helping people to identify red flags, because it's, especially when something happens real subtly and real slowly, it's so easy to get into a situation when it happens real slow. Like when somebody slowly gets you away from your family and your friends, and they're doing it with, oh, but I want to spend all my time with you. No. Mm-hmm. Don't hang out with them. Spend time with me. No, mm-hmm. I want to be with you all the time. When they do this kind of thing, and you're like, oh, but they want to be with me. They want to, they want to spend their time with me. Isn't this great? They want to be with me all the time, and you don't realize that you're spending less and less time with family, less and less time with friends, and you don't realize nobody else is in your life anymore. And it's this kind of stuff that happens so slow that we don't see it happening. Yes. And by the time it gets to the point where it's dangerous, you don't notice. It's like, what do you mean? And this time you've lost touch with everybody, and you're like, wait a minute, where is everybody? So it's getting people to start seeing this stuff earlier, to see it when it first starts to happen, and to see that, it's great that the person wants to be with you, but you need everybody in your life, not just this person. A lot of ways to help people to have healthy dating.
Yes.
But so
yes, exactly. That is what it is. And the interesting thing is how this game is already impacting the lives of so many. Like, for example, Scott actually told me about this very interesting story with one of his colleagues even. So not just his students, but his colleagues as well have played the game with him. And one of his colleagues actually went on a date like 2 days later, and she said that within half an hour of that date, she realized that that person is actually not good for her, because she noticed some red flags, in the conversation. And she was more aware of exact what questions to ask and how to ask them. So she said that, instead of wasting so many dates and months, she knew within a half an hour, which was amazing. She was so excited about it, because she didn't have to wonder so much about dates anymore, and wonder about, compatibility with a person. She knew straight away whether yes or no, and then she didn't waste her time, she didn't waste his time anymore, and they just, parted, and that's it. And that's where it finished. But it could have been 3 months of bad dating, or it could have been 6 months of horrible dating. Who knows?
Awesome. That's the way it should work. So why do you think so many people struggle with dating? Because, let's be honest, a lot of people struggle with dating. They either date one person, kind of settle, or they struggle. That seriously sums up about 70+% of dating. So why do you think that is the majority of people dating?
Well, I think there are many reasons, to be honest. Some might just choose the wrong partner because of, I don't know, trauma maybe. There are a part that do that because that's what they've been through and that's the only thing they know. And we have this saying in Romanian which says, better with the devil you know than with a new one.
Yes.
So, because the new one might actually be bigger, it might also be smaller, but you don't know. At least the one you know, you know. So, based on that principle, some people take it literally and they apply that in dating too and relationships. And interestingly enough, some of them might do it without even realizing what they're doing. It's just on so automatic pilot for them that they just do. Others, settle for relationships just because it's time, in quotes. You should get settled down. Others tell them they should and they listen to them, and all of these external reasons and external pressure, or they see their friends settling down, having kids, having the white fence, and they think, oh my God, I should do it as well. It's time. I know this is something I had to deal with every time I used to visit family. Also because we are the type of family that we just are quite straightforward and we are very honest with each other. Sometimes I wish we wouldn't be this honest. And they would just ask me, like, when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? And I said, when I'll meet the right guy. And they're like, well, just, have someone and get married and settle down. And I'm like, I'm not just going to marry with anyone, like, if I don't really love them. And they're like, well, if you just like them, it's fine. And I'm like, yeah, that won't cut it for me. And luckily, because I'm such a strong personality, I could stand up for myself. But I do understand that not everyone has the energy to constantly do that. And sometimes they just give in. But I think
it's like being shamed by family for not being married.
Yes, exactly like that. Yes, like that.
Well, and I've done that for years. And I mean, I literally, I am not kidding you about this. I literally had one of my mother's friends come up to me at her funeral, at my mother's funeral, come up to me and shame me for not being married before she died and having grandchildren.
Wow.
I cannot tell you what I wanted to do to that woman.
I could, yes, I can guess. I had my grandma's sister who actually told me that a few times, where she said, I hope you will get married and have kids before I die. And I was like, well, and once, because I cannot keep my mouth shut, I just exploded. And I was like, well, that depends. I said, well, that depends. When are you planning to die? Is it, soon, or is it in a few years? Because, it really depends on that. Obviously, she got offended. She didn't take it the right way. But after that, she did learn not to tell me stupid things like that. The third category of people that choose bad partners or go on continuously on bad dates, I think do it just because they simply don't know. They don't know how to choose the right ones. They don't know what to look out for. And, nobody's actually telling them. Or even if some people are telling them, they either are not listening or, they just go on the principle, well, that's your experience. Maybe mine will be different. So I think many of them just don't know. They basically don't know because nobody actually teaches you how to date well. Nobody is teaching you that properly, like explaining why you should look out for a few things, why certain things are important. Like I am quite lucky in one way, because every time I used to go out with a guy, I used to call my mom and discuss it, and then she would ask me like certain questions, like how is his family? What did he say about this? What did he say, like on certain topics, and I would have certain questions that I would ask all of them just to get the answer. And many times I told my mom, yes, but just because he said that, it doesn't mean that, he would actually do it. And she was like, if a person on a date, when they should be on their best behavior, tell you things like that, as an answer to certain questions, you should run. Like, if they cannot, obviously the fact that they are honest, it's a plus point, but it really depends on the answer as well and the question. So, I was taught on one way to look out for some smaller behavioral things, in people, just to be able to assess whether they would be a good match with me or not. But that was a very small part of what I've learned from my mom. The majority of it was what came from books and from professionals in the field, because, well, they are professionals. They've studied this for many years, and I got to just read that in a book, and then within a week to have so much extensive knowledge based on their work of so many years and experience. So I think that's the biggest category of people who date poorly, is of people who don't know how to do it better, and they literally don't know what to look out for because there's nobody to tell them or to explain why. But this can be actually solved with the Better Topics, the dating game, because this is one of the main reasons why Scott invented it, and this is one of the main reasons why we actually partnered up with him to develop it further and make it more playable, and also launch it so that people around the world can actually play it and have better dating lives.
Something I have people tell me too is they're like, well, look at the family I came from, or look at the example I come from. And it's like, okay, now, even if you came from a dysfunctional family, or what you may consider a dysfunctional family, or if you feel you came from a bad example, that does not mean you will be the same, or have to be the same, or have to do the same thing anybody else did. You have the ability to learn and to do better for yourself in your life and your family.
Exactly.
It is only a matter of learning what to do and putting it into practice. It is totally possible.
Yes.
You do not need to live anybody else's life or repeat what any other person has ever done. You are your own person. I cannot say that strong enough. I hear that from people all the time. I am so glad to hear you agreeing with me about that.
Yes.
Like I said, I hear that from people. And it is so not true. You are not living anybody else's life while you're on this planet unless you choose to duplicate what somebody else is doing. Live your own life and do your own thing. But you have to make that choice to do it.
Exactly. And again, the people who are doing this and who are mimicking other people's behavior in dating and relationships are doing it purely because they don't know how else to do it. That's the only example they had till then, and as you so nicely said, just because someone else have done it doesn't mean they have to do it. And it's basically a matter of choice, whether you choose to accept other people's examples or not,
They're choosing. They're making a choice either way. They're choosing to duplicate what they see, or they're choosing to do something different. Either way, they're making a choice. That's it. You need to make the choice. Are you going to copy what you see, or are you going to make a choice to make your life different? And I would think if you see something and you don't like it, then make the choice to make your life better, and there is certainly help out here for you. You've got help through the games that you've got, and I can certainly help through the coaching and through, I've got a mountain of information on my blog, and I've got a mountain of information through my podcast that is right here for the taking. Easy to find. And if you want to just kind of search go to lovecoachjourney.com and put whatever your question is in the search bar, and there's all kinds of information. It is here. You make a choice either way. But I highly recommend a more healthy relationship. And I think Diana does too, don't you? And would you recommend copying a bad example or having a more healthy relationship?
Well, obviously, I would urge everyone to have a good relationship. I mean, this is literally reason why I've created the Better Topics card game for couples in the first place, because I know for sure from my own experience that everyone can have a great relationship.
Yes,
I'm nothing special. I'm no more special than the person next to me or the person across the street when it comes to relationships. The only difference is that I might know a bit more about them. But there are so many tools out there now that you can use to improve your relationship if you really want a good relationship, because I think that is the first step, to take the decision that, yes, I want a good relationship, and then I am going to make it work. Because I can tell you, again, from my own experience, you can have a great relationship. And, I've been married now for over 4 years. And we got married super fast. Like, we've met, and then 2 months later, he proposed. 4 months later, we had our wedding. And it's been over 4 years since our wedding. So it's been actually 5 years last week since we've met for the first time. And I'm still super happy to be married to this wonderful man and to wake up next to him every morning and to just see him around the house and to just, have him as my teammate and support each other in whatever we're doing. It's amazing to have this feeling and this connection with someone. And I think many people can have it too if they start working on themselves first and then on the relationship. And with tools like the Better Topics.
Well, you've got to make the decision to do it. You've got to put the work into yourself, and then the work into the relationship. So you've got to actually put the effort into it. That's
exactly. Yes, exactly. You cannot just have a relationship and wanting a great relationship and then do nothing about it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to just fall in your lap. And even if you accidentally find a great partner, that relationship won't last until you work on it.
Yep. That's right. So I think we kind of covered this, but let's be specific. Who is the dating game for?
So it is basically for anyone who wants to learn how to make better decisions in dating. It is for people from teenagers, really, all the way to 100 plus, if they're still dating at that time and they haven't had enough of it. Because it helps them, it helps them realize, because the game, the way it's compiled, it has like a lot of characteristics, like real life characteristics from different domains, like finance, like is he living at home with his parents, is he broke, or is he super wealthy, age groups, is he a teenager, is he 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond, is he like super career orientated, or is he addicted to his phone? Like, there are good and the bad, because in every combination of a person, we get the good and the bad as well. We all have our own good sides and, let's say, not so good sides as well. And when you mix all of those together and you pick out like 7 cards and you turn them face up, that's one person. That's a person that might be, I don't know, in his 40s maybe, but he's broke and he's constantly, playing video games and has like a lot of addictions. Now, would you date that person or not? And this is maybe an obvious example, but there are other examples as well where, and the beauty of the game is because there are over 170 different characteristics. The combinations are endless. Like, you can get so many weird combinations of people, is unreal. You can get someone who maybe is physically super fit, loves to go to the gym, but they might not be loyal, or they might not be too stable, or they might not want children. and that might be a deal breaker for you, which for other people might not be. So that's why I'm saying, some red flags might be something that you don't want to deal with, but other people wouldn't mind it. So, but once you look through these and you see all these combinations, you get to decide who you would choose. Like if you have two people like these laid out in front of you, you get to choose out of the two, which one do you think would be more suitable for you as a person? Which one would you actually date out of the two? And looking at these and analyzing these, you form a sort of a habit of looking at more things than just the surface. So this is why this game is so good for people who are at any level of dating at any age group. And we've actually had grandparents that we've explained the game to, and they said they would love to play the game with their granddaughter, because this is a way of them explaining to her why some red flags are, let's say, serious than others. Because again, kids, if you tell or read an article, they are very likely not going to do it. But if you tell them, let's play a game through which they also learn, maybe without them even knowing that this is a teaching moment, because it's fun and it's a game, and they would be more open to the teachings of their grandparents, because the grandparents can, explain to them, okay, this person might look okay, but you see, this red flag is quite serious. It's more serious than, let's say, the other red flag, So between these two, this is worse, because although teenagers think that they invented this world, they haven't. And I know I thought that when I was a teenager. I thought like, oh, mom, you know nothing. Although my mom had like 30 years experience on this planet, more than I. We tend not to listen as much, when our parents are trying to teach us. But if it's through a game, they will definitely be more open because it's more fun, and it doesn't feel like a lesson that we have to remember necessarily, But we will remember it because it is learned in a fun way. So basically, the game is for everyone who's dating and feeling like they are struggling with the dating life. They can start playing the game also because the game can be played as a solitaire version, by yourself, with a partner, or even in a group, which is even better because you can play it with friends. Like when you have party nights with friends, you can actually take out the game and play it with them, and they all can learn from it.
All right. I love the idea of playing with grandparents. Yeah, interesting. As long as they don't get preachy. Keep it fun.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Interesting. So where can people find the Better Topics dating game?
So the dating game will be launched in September via a Kickstarter campaign, and I'm sure you will put the link in the show notes. Other than that, they can find details about it on our website, which is bettertopics.com. If for those who are listening to your episode after we have completed the Kickstarter campaign, they will be able to get the game from our website.
Awesome. Is it going to be on the Kickstarter campaign the whole month of September?
Yes. The whole month of September will be on the Kickstarter page, yes.
Okay. All right. And you'll send me that link because I don't have that yet.
Yes.
I think I've got
as soon as we have it, yes. We're just building the page this week. We just got the designs back. So hopefully by next week we'll be able to launch, if not latest in 2 weeks.
Ooh, okay. All right. So it will be up soon.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. And I will have a link on the show page too of the video on how to play the game. I've got that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to my website to lovecoachjourney.com/bettertopicsdating, you will get all the information and her links to her website, her YouTube page, her Facebook page, Instagram, and TikTok. So you have all the information I can get you. So, Diana, thank you for being with me.
Thank you so much for having me again on your show, and also for allowing me the honor of being your first guest in this amazing 9th season.
I tell you what, like I said, cannot believe season 9. So wow.
I know.
and like I said, on the show page too, I will make sure to have a link back to the original, so they'll get more details about Better Topics for Couples. Thank you again for being with me, and listeners, I'll be with you next time on Ready for Love Radio.